Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be simulating the entire career of Macklin Celebrini. That is right guys, the consensus #1 overall pick will likely go to the San Jose Sharks after the draft lottery results that happened just a couple of minutes ago for me, but for you guys will have happened 2 days ago. Celebrini is a highly skilled, pure centerman who has a fantastic shot and he can play a good two-way game. I'm not going to pretend like I am a amateur scout or anything like that, but everything that I've been looking up and seeing about him says he gets into the corners, he's not afraid to get down and dirty. He's also an incredibly skilled player, so that's a pretty magical combo. Looking at his stats from Boston University, this guy can score the puck. He scored 32 goals in 38 games and getting 64 points. Also, obviously, with the Canada U20 World Juniors team, he had 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. So this guy knows how to put the puck in the back of the net, but he's also a good passer and good offensive player all around. Now, it's not necessarily guaranteed that he is going to San Jose, but it is highly suspected that he will go first overall in the 2024 draft. So that is why I am doing this at this moment. I know that the draft has not happened yet, obviously, but it's highly suspected that Celebrini will be going first. So boys, this is how I created Celebrini. He is a great shooter, he's got good puck skills, and he's pretty decent defensively as well. I've given him the X factors of elite edges, 1T, and unstoppable force. I went and I looked at some of his highlights, and I mean, this guy's got a great one-timer on the power play. He's that Steven Stamkos, Alex Ovechkin, obviously not to that caliber quite yet, but he's that type of player who can really get that one-timer off the wing and score nice goals like that. I've given him a bunch more offensive categories just because I think he's a bit more of an offensive player. I was struggling with the player type because a lot of the stuff I saw about him was saying how good of a two-way player he would be in the NHL, how he is, able to play that defensive side of the puck as well as the offensive. But unfortunately, in the EA world, the two-way forwards don't usually simulate that well, so I've elected to go with a sniper for him. He's 6 feet tall, average size 190. He's a pretty big frame for a 17-year-old for sure, and I'm excited to see what he can do in his career. If you guys have not seen one of my career simulations before, I simulate the entirety of this player's career, so that for Macklin Celebrini, hopefully a healthy 20-year career that I'll be simulating through here today, and we will follow the teams he goes to. I will not have any control over any of the team situation. I will have everything set to auto instead of manual, so I will not be doing any scouting. I'll not be making any signings or anything like that. I will just make sure that the San Jose Sharks draft him in the draft. Again, it might not be with the first overall pick because of created prospects, but he is an 80 overall high elite player, so it's likely that he will get to go first overall. But that being said, boys, I take control of a completely different team, even in a completely different division. So I'll be in the Eastern Division, where Celebrini will be out in the West, and I will not be controlling any of the trades he makes, any of the lines he's on, anything like that. So if he's on a dumb line with, these third liners out there in San Jose, he's not paired up with William Eklund of the future, he's on a line with, I don't know, some fourth line guys, it is not on me. So don't yell at me in the comments, blame EA's horrible game for that. But without further ado, guys, let's jump to the 2024 NHL draft. All right, boys, here we are at the 2024 draft, and I mean, Macklin Celebrini isn't going first overall because this medium franchise power forward is going first overall instead with 5-star shooting, 4-star skating. So you guys know how the EA generated prospects go, but Celebrini should be going second overall here to the San Jose Sharks, and he is the high elite 80 overall sniper, goes to the San Jose Sharks. So let's see what his team looks like and whether his overall jumps. It probably won't. I don't think that your overall can jump after the year you've been drafted, but we will see what his team looks like in year #1. All right, you guys, and here are the year #1 San Jose Sharks, with Macklin Celebrini being the left winger on the first line. He's listed as a depth forward. I had him as an 80 overall with X Factors because I thought he would make the team that way, and he has indeed. So the first line is going to be Celebrini, Hurdle, and Sam Reinhart. The second line will be William Eklund with Logan Couture and Blake Wheeler. And then the third line of Sean Monahan, Thomas Novak, and Fabian Zetterlund, with the fourth line of Luke Kunin, Mikhail Granlund, and Philip Zadina. This looks like a playoff team by far. This is a fantastic forward core that they have here, and Celebrini is only going to improve throughout the year. Also, you will see he got more X factors in his first, I guess in his draft year. He was tearing it up out there, so he got some increased X factors. I gave him 1T elite edges and unstoppable force, but he got close quarters and relentless as well to go with it. On defense out here for year number 1, it looks a bit weak, so they bent all their money on the offense, did the San Jose Sharks. And then in goal, they have Jeremy Swayman. Wow. So this team looks poised to go on a run. They've got Celebrini for 3 years, Swayman for 4, and all these other guys out here. You know, Thomas Hurdle for 6 more years, Sam Reinhart for 3 more years as well, Blake Wheeler for 2 years. I mean, they really went out and spent a bunch of money on all of these guys out here. So Celebrini, he's got a good team around him for year number 1. Let's see what kind of numbers he can put up. And a San Jose Sharks team that I thought was actually going to be pretty good and maybe have a chance to make the playoffs with all those mid-80 type forwards. Macklin Celebrini on their first line, 88 overall or 86 overall Logan Couture, Sam Reinhart, Blake Wheeler. All these guys were like mid-80s and stuff into the lineup. Fabian Zetterlund at 83, William Eklund. Nope, they completely destroy all my hopes and dreams. They go 30, 46, and 6. So the woes for the San Jose Sharks continue into Macklin Celebrini's tenure here. They allow 3.70 goals against per game, a horrible power play despite having Eklund and Celebrini on their roster, and an 83% penalty kill. That is a rough first season for Macklin Celebrini's first season. And it was absolute disaster here in San Jose as Macklin Celebrini was injured for 23 games in the regular season. But good news is he put up 20 goals and 21 assists for 41 points in only 59 games played. That puts him on pace for about 57 or so points in the regular season. So that would have been a pretty good rookie season, but let's just hope he can get healthy. He's also stayed at an 80 overall. So a pretty unfortunate start to his NHL career. Let's hope he can get healthy over the offseason and come back as a little bit better of an overall for year number 2. And I figured I might as well come here and show you this, boys, because the San Jose Sharks have the first overall pick. Once again, we'll just say that they had the first overall pick last year, even though they didn't really, because that power forward, the medium franchise power forward went. But they have another super high pick here in the 2025 NHL entry draft. So who will they take with it? Probably a medium elite player. Yes, it is. Another sniper, a left wing sniper, Victor Semyonov, who's got 5-star shooting and he's got 4 X factors. So this will be an incredible piece to go alongside of Macklin Celebrini for the future. All right, boys, and after a rough year number 1, here is Macklin Celebrini back and better than ever. He trained incredibly hard over the offseason, and he has grown to an 86 overall for this club. Let's take a look at his stats real quick. His defense has gone up to 3.5 stars. His skating is up to 4 stars. His shooting is up to 5. Sense is 4.5 stars. His puck skills 5 stars as well. This guy can just do it all. Just that physical category lacking a little bit. Body checking only 81. Durability 83. So let's hope that that can get up there so he doesn't have to be injured. But his line looks incredible, just like it did last year with Hurdle and Reinhardt here. The first overall pick last year, Victor Semyonov, is on a line alongside of William Eklund and Philip Zadina, so that line should be decent as well. And then the third line is looking good. The fourth line with Blake Wheeler down there as well. Now, Brent Burns has returned to San Jose after a couple of years away. He's returned to play alongside of Macklin Celebrini and Victor Semyonov, so let's hope that goes a little bit better this time. The rest of the defense looks kind of meh, not great at all. And then Swayman still back here on the pipes for another 3 seasons. Macklin Celebrini's second season, he has grown to an 86 overall. Let's see what kind of numbers he can put up. And once again here at the end of year number 2, the San Jose Sharks have a miserable season, going 31, 46-5, being the last place team for the second year in a row. And Macklin Celebrini, despite growing overall throughout the season, he's now up to an 87. He has a worse paced season than he did last year. This season, he only has 49 points in 82 games. He's also a minus 32. So this San Jose Sharks team is really struggling. He does have a career year in goals with 28, but 49 points in 82 games compared to his 41 and 59 last year. It's safe to say that the sophomore slump was real. At least Victor Semyonov here had a great season. Sniper, he put up 27 points himself. So, I mean, San Jose, they're going to get another great draft pick. Let's hope they can capitalize on it and grow for the future. And here we are in the 2026 NHL entry draft. We see that the San Jose Sharks, despite being the last place team in the NHL, they actually dropped to pick number 3, but they should still grab a pretty good player here. So let's see who they can pick up. Hopefully a medium elite. Yes, it is. It's a left winger, so they're really stacking that left side. Reed DeSalvatore. Wow, what a name. He's a two-way forward with medium elite status, so hopefully this guy can help them keep the puck out of that net. And let's go take a look at what the Sharks look like in year number 3. All right, and at the start of year number 3 here, not only has Celebrini been demoted to that second line, but he's also dropped 1 overall. He's down to an 86 now. He was 87 at the start of last season, or at the end of last season, excuse me. But we can see where his stats are. He still got that 5-star shooting, still 4-star skating. Now he has 4-star defense as well, not 3.5. Puck skills though have really come down. 3.5-star puck skills. I believe they were 5-star at the start of last season. So interesting stats going on here. He's still on a line with Tomas Hertl, but Fabian Zetterlund is now on his right. Up top, we've got Victor Semyonov, who basically took the place of Macklin Celebrini, but for once he's actually playing his actual position in center. So let's see if maybe that helps his growth a little bit here. We also do have Reed Salvador, I don't know, who was drafted 3rd overall last season. Semyonov obviously drafted 1st 2 seasons ago, and Macklin Celebrini, this is the last year of his entry-level deal. So he's going to have to make a decision about whether he wants to re-sign with this team that has been last in both of his seasons here, or whether he wants to test his luck in the RFA world. Maybe he wants just a 1-year deal, a 2-year deal type thing, rather than going like 8 years at $5 million, because he hasn't really shown too much quite yet. So we're gonna have to see what type of contract that he gets. This is what the defense looks like with Michael Matheson, Jeff Petrie, Colin Miller, Nicholas Hague, Troy Stecher, Brent Burns is still out here, and then goalies still with Swayman in the net. So a very similar looking San Jose Sharks team. It hasn't helped them yet, but hopefully this time with the addition of Salvador down there, Victor Semyonov growing, maybe Macklin Celebrini is more suited for that second line. Let's see what kind of production Celebrini gets, and let's see if the San Jose Sharks can push for the playoffs. Well, all progress is good progress, I suppose, and this year the San Jose Sharks are not the last place team. They are 3rd last. They go 32, 39, and 11, which places them 30th in the entire NHL. And Celebrini, we have good news and bad news at the same time. So good news is he was on pace for a much better score than what he got last year, and even the year before that, I believe, having 57 in 73, which probably places him around the 60, 62, 63 mark, if I were to hazard a guess. He also scores 37 goals, which is most on his team, so definitely a bit of a goal scorer in our midst here. He took 256 shots, which is not even the most on the team. Victor Semyonov actually took a little bit more. I made sure that his pass shoot slider, it was more towards shoot, but it wasn't all the way. I think it's at like, I think it's at 5 or 6, his shoot slider. And he's only a -8 as well. So that second line, I know -8 is not good, obviously, but that second line really was, I mean, pretty much their best line. He's almost their best plus-minus player that actually played a full season or close to a full season. He only missed out on 9 games this year, but going into free agency, obviously, with his restricted free agency, but going into restricted free agency, we will see what kind of money he will get from San Jose and whether a team will offer sheet him something or what happens with Macklin Celebrini over the offseason. I'll see you guys there. And last year, the San Jose Sharks dropped from the first overall selection down to the third, but this year they jump up from number 3, which was with Washington, and they move up to, or no, it wasn't with Washington. They had the number 3 overall pick, and they jump up to number 2. So that's nice for the San Jose Sharks, and they're going to get themselves another medium elite player, most likely. And this time it's a defenseman. Thank goodness they just had to pick up a defenseman. Braden Hunter, 80 overall, two-way defender with 3.5-star defense, 4-star skating. This guy, right-handed defenseman as well. Hopefully he can learn from Brent Burns and be a good addition to this team long term. And here we are, boys, at the start of year number 4. Macklin Celebrini finds himself on that top line once again. This time he's with William Eklund in the center and Victor Semyonov, the first overall selection in 2025, on the left-hand side. The second line has Reed D. Salvador, the third overall pick in 2026, with Thomas Hertl and Fabian Zetterlund. And you see the rest of the team. It looks pretty similar down here as to how it has most of the time. But big contract news here in San Jose. Macklin Celebrini signs a 4-year, $10.575 million extension. So he's making, what is that, like $42 million here in San Jose for the next 4 years. Looking on defense now, we have Matheson, and they sign John Carlson out here in free agency to a 2-year deal at just about $9.6 million per. They also have Braden Hunter, the Belarusian? Is he a Belarusian? Two-way defender, right-handed, so hopefully this team can be good. And between the pipes, we've still got Jeremy Swayman, who must be furious that he left Boston for the lowly San Jose Sharks, who have been rough stuff here in the first 3 years. But going into year number 4, hopefully this first line can find some chemistry, find some momentum, and carry this team into the playoffs. Let's see how Macklin Celebrini does in his 4th season in the show. And here we are in year number 4, and once again, the San Jose Sharks have an abysmal regular season. They go 32, 46, and 4. They have 46 losses on the season. That is just so tough, man. And this team finishes 29th in the entire NHL. Oh man, and once again, for the second time in his career, Celebrini has a rough season, not points-wise, but games played-wise. Only playing 48 games here for two seasons out of his 4 total seasons in the NHL. He's had 60 or fewer games played, 59 or fewer games played here, and that is just tough to see if you are a San Jose Sharks fan, because what could have been, man? He had 41 points in 48 games. The question of what if will always hang in the air for San Jose Sharks fans. These are his stats going into year number 5. He's got 5-star shooting, 5-star senses, 4-star puck skills and defense and skating, and that 3-star physical category. So let's see if they can regroup and Celebrini can get healthy for year number 5. And we are once again here in the NHL draft because the San Jose Sharks have the 4th overall selection, so this should be another medium elite player to add to their collection. Let's see what they have here in San Jose. They pick up an offensive defenseman this time, a left-handed offensive defenseman. So they've now got Braden Hunter on the right-hand side and Miroslav Pavlikovsky on the left-hand side for the future. They've got Macklin Celebrini, they've got William Eklund, they've got Salvador, they've got that other left-handed sniper that I can't think of right now. This team has many young assets, so let's see if they can finally put it together and maybe even push for the playoffs. You don't even have to make it, but just get a little bit close. That's all I'm asking, San Jose. Let's see what they look like for year number 5. And here we are at the start of Macklin Celebrini's 5th year, and this team looks eerily similar to the past 4 seasons. We've got Celebrini, at least he's at a 90 now. His stats are looking great. He's got 99 wrist shot and slap shot accuracy. That's insane. His physical's getting up there as well. 90 aggressiveness, speed still at 90, and acceleration. His defense is now 5 stars with 91 defensive awareness, 89 stick checking. So he's growing for sure, and he's got 99 offensive awareness as well. If this guy doesn't simulate well, I don't know what the heck is going on here. He's alongside Eklund. He's alongside Victor Semyonov. Maybe it's bad because you've got 2 snipers on the same line, but still, this should be a lethal first line. The second line, we've got Reed Salvador here. Great second liner. What kind of a contract did he get? No, he's still on his ELC, of course. I forgot about that. But Semyonov would have gotten a real contract, right? Yeah, Semyonov, 5 years, 11.4 mil. Celebrini is on for another 3 years at 10.575 mil. So definitely putting a lot of money into these younger players. On defense, unfortunately, we've lost John Carlson now, so that's not great. Braden Hunter is now taking on that top 2 defenseman role here as the right-handed medium elite defender. He grew 1 overall since last season. And then in between the pipes, I think on his last year here, he actually has a new contract, $5.985 million for 3 years. So he decided to re-sign here to Jeremy Swayman, which is absolutely baffling to me, but what the heck do I know? And so for Macklin Celebrini's 5th season in San Jose, will this team be able to push for a playoff spot? And bigger question here, will Macklin Celebrini be able to remain healthy, because he has only had 1 season where he has played all 82 games. We will find out here soon, and let's see how Celebrini does in his 5th year. And here we are once again, another year, another time that San Jose misses out on the playoffs. But I will say they did push this year at least. They almost made it to 40 wins. They had 37 wins, 37 losses, and 8 overtime losses. Look at Arizona here with 86 points, managed to squeak in. So they were only 4 points out of a playoff spot if you want to look at it like that. So unfortunately, the San Jose Sharks, once again, for the 5th year in a row, well, the 5th year in a row since Macklin Celebrini has been on the team, obviously. It's been a couple more years than that, as San Jose Sharks fans know all too well. But with the 5th year here with Macklin Celebrini, they've missed out on the playoffs once again. But that is what I am talking about from Macklin Celebrini, man. He scores 42 goals and 61 assists in 81 games played for 103 points. He just became an elite level player this season. It took a little while for sure, but he's making that $10.575 million contract seem like an absolute steal with numbers like this. His fifth season in the NHL, but boy did he make it count. And finally, he has had a healthy season as well. Last year, only 48 games. The year before that, only 73. He had 82 the year before that. That's great. But this year, 81. He only missed 1 game, and he shows what he can do when he has a full season in front of him. 103 points. And here we are at the start of year number 6, and Macklin Celebrini is up to a 92 overall. Take a look at his stats if you want to. He's got 5-star shooting, senses, defense, skating, 4-star puck skills, 3.5-star physical. So a fantastic player all around. And he's actually gotten the gold X factor of elite edges. Obviously, you guys know when we started this, I gave him 1T, unstoppable force, and elite edges, but as superstar abilities, not zone abilities. He then grew relentless and elite edges as superstar abilities in his first season. And now, at the start of his 6th season here, he's grown elite edges to be a zone ability, and he's gotten wheels to be a superstar ability. So pretty cool stuff out here. He's with the same first line as before. We've got Reed DeSalvador, who has now grown X factors down here, and he signed a big boy contract, 5 years, 9.795 mil. So a lot of money being shipped out to the top 4. Obviously, not nearly as much as in Toronto, but either way, I digress. Defense now, we have the 4th overall selection of 2028, the offensive defenseman, who's now an 84 overall medium elite player with in reverse has a superstar ability. And then Braden Hunter, obviously this guy has been here for 2 seasons now, and he's had pretty horrible numbers to say the least. Not horrible, but just nothing crazy for a really high draft pick like that. The other defense, nothing really to write home about. And then goaltending, we've still got Jeremy Swayman in the net. So this team might be able to do something here. I mean, that defense first pair is looking promising. The first line is looking promising as well, but just the depth is lacking just a little bit. But we will see if Celebrini, Eklund, and Semyonov can carry this team to the playoffs in year number 6. And for the 6th consecutive year now, the San Jose Sharks miss out on the playoffs. I mean, at least they were a little bit closer here. 19th place St. Louis Blues got in. They were 22nd. They go 40, 36, and 6. So at least they are above NHL 500 as well, which is nice to see for them. So I guess it's only a matter of time until these boys can finally make the playoffs. But another healthy year, another dominant regular season from Macklin Celebrini, who gets 116 points, crushing his career high of 103 by 13 points. He gets a career high in goals. He ties his career high in assists, and he gets a career high in points. He's also a career plus minus, which is not so hard to do on a horrible San Jose Sharks team. But congratulations to Macklin Celebrini in his 6th year. He's just asking for more and more money with these types of performances. He's got one more year left on his deal past this one, and maybe he's going to want to see some playoff action. So either San Jose is going to have to pay a pretty penny, or perhaps he goes somewhere else. We'll have to find out. And here we are, boys, the start of Macklin Celebrini's 7th season in the NHL. He is now 24 years old, still at 92. His stats look quite similar to me, but his physical has gone up there quite a lot, with aggressiveness at 95, strength at 92. He's got one more year left on his deal, and then will he want to stick with this core? I mean, him and the top line, he knows that they can get it done together, but can the rest of this team, can the management put together a team that can really get the job done? And so far, with 36-year-old Thomas Hertl down here, they haven't really been able to do too much. On defense, they are looking better and better, though. Pavlikovsky, the offensive defenseman, has grown to 89, and Braden Hunter, the two-way defender, has grown to 87. So their defense of the future looks bright. Their offense of the future and even of the now looks bright, but it's just their depth scoring that's the big issue here. In goal, we've still got a great goalie. Jeremy Swayman can still get it done. He's got one more year left on his deal. Same with Macklin Celebrini. So San Jose is going to have to make some decisions here, and we will find out how Celebrini performs. Will he be able to stay above that 100-point pace, or will he fall back once again? We will find out in year number 7. And for Macklin Celebrini's 7th consecutive season here, the San Jose Sharks have missed the playoffs. This year they go 38, 36, and 8, which is good enough for 23rd place in the National Hockey League. And you know what? It was a poor season from the San Jose Sharks, and I don't want to say it was a poor season from the individual players as well, because we had some injuries here in the top line. I mean, Semyonov only played 67, Eklund only played 73, but a pace of 116 down to like 81, 82 is a little bit unfortunate here from Macklin Celebrini. It's still a good season, 40 goals, 41 assists for 81 points. He's also a plus player. He's not hurting the team by any means. He's above point per game, which is fantastic, as is William Eklund, as is Victor Semyonov. But in Celebrini's last season with this team, last contract year, he's going to get a new contract. I'm not sure if he's an RFA. I would assume that he is. Up until this point, he's won no awards. He's never made it to the postseason once in his entire career, and he's had 2 100-point seasons. So would he like to take his talents elsewhere? I would assume so, but these are all questions that we'll get the answer to in the 8th season coming up. And here is an incredibly interesting development here in the 2031 off season. We have Macklin Celebrini out here but he's listed as an RFA. So the San Jose Sharks didn't have the money to, or they couldn't quite come to an agreement with Macklin Celebrini. Now, the fact that there are two teams interested in him, that being Toronto, oh my gosh, Macklin Celebrini might go to Toronto, and the San Jose Sharks, obviously, as they are his team that drafted him, they are both interested in him. The fact that there's two teams means that Celebrini might get stripped away from San Jose, and if San Jose is not willing to pay, 12.85 million, they're going to get a huge compensation, which will probably be like 4 first-round picks or something like that. So this could be a huge move for Celebrini to come to Canada and try to get these Toronto Maple Leafs a Stanley Cup. That would be wild. I'm not sure who's on that team right now or how Toronto can afford this type of money. It makes me think that maybe Toronto's not the greatest team right now, but either way, Celebrini has a huge decision to make, and San Jose does as well, whether they will accept that or match that offer or whether they will not. We will all find out, though, at the start of year number 8. Well, Macklin Celebrini has decided to sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs, ladies and gentlemen. He's still got 5-star shooting, 5-star senses, 5-star defense, 4.5-star puck skills, 4-star skating, 4.5-star physical. This guy can do it all out on the ice. And look at the top line. They've still got Matthews, they've still got Marner, they've still got Nylander. Now they no longer have the John Tavares salary either. So, I mean, their top 4 guys are making so much money. 10 mil for Marner, 11.930 for Matthews, 10.755 mil for Nylander. And Macklin Celebrini, oh yeah, he's just one of the highest paid players in the league, making 13.705 mil for the next 7 years. He's going to be out here in Toronto. Oh my goodness, what a team this is, at least the top 4. Logan Stankoven on his left, Joe Veleno on his right. The bottom 6 doesn't look crazy or anything like that, but this top 4 might be able to drag this team into a playoff run. Same thing with the defense down here. They've got Jacob Chychrun, Jordan Spence. Again, Jacob Chychrun really just carrying this entire blue line alongside of Jordan Spence. But yeah, their bottom 2 D pairings and even their second line defensively does not look up to par. But then goaltenders, they've got Philip Gustafsson here, who's on a $6.195 million deal. So he's definitely capable back there for himself. But this is a crazy development. Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and now Celebrini all in Toronto. So Leafs fans, do not be afraid. You guys haven't won anything since 1967 or whenever it is, but now Macklin Celebrini is coming to save your franchise in year number 8. And after 7 seasons of utter despair for Macklin Celebrini, he has finally joined a team that is going to the playoffs. The Toronto Maple Leafs finished 47, 27, and 8, and Macklin Celebrini is off to the NHL playoffs, boys. In his first season with the Toronto Maple Leafs, in his 8th season overall in the NHL, Celebrini, you might think not a great season, but he gets 62 points in 57 games, and bear in mind, he's playing with Logan Stankoven and Joe Veleno, and he's above point per game on his line. He did get injured, which is something that we definitely have to keep our eyes on. His durability is down there at 77 because he keeps getting injured. He can't stay healthy really to save his life, but 62 points in 57 games is not bad at all. 26 goals. He's playing alongside of 65 goal scorer Austin Matthews on his team as well. He's not playing on that line, but it looks like Celebrini is in fact healthy for the postseason. So let's see what this kid can finally do in the playoffs. And the Leafs, unfortunately, they fall in round number 1. The jokes could be flowing here, but it's Celebrini's first little taste of playoff action, and it does not go his way. He falls in 5 games to the eventual Stanley Cup champions, at least, the Montreal Canadiens, who bring greatness to Canada once more. But even though his team lost in 5 games, Celebrini in those 5 games scored 6 points. Only 1 goal, but 5 assists for 6 points in total, and no power play goals either. Did he have any power play points? Yes, he had 2 power play points, but 6 goals, 6 points, 4 even strength points as well. So he's getting it done 5-on-5 out there as much as he's getting it done in the special teams category. These are his stats going into year number 9. And, I'm sure he's going to be happy at least getting paid $13 million. How could you not be? And also finally making the playoffs. Despite the fact that he's out, of course, that always hurts. But being able to say that he made the playoffs in his career at the very least is something to be proud of. And he's going to try to build off this playoff run for next season. Let's jump to year number 9. Year number 9 of Macklin Celebrini's career. He's now 26 years of age, and he's playing on the first line here in Toronto. It does not get bigger than this in hockey. One of the biggest markets out there. He's playing on the first line alongside of Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. He's got to stay healthy this season, and he's got to produce for sure. The second line looks kind of weak. They do have Nylander and Joe Veleno down here. Veleno has grown. Nylander dropped off a mountain at 36 years of age. Third line does not look good. Fourth line does not look good either. Defensively, we've got Chychrun and then pretty much nobody else, so kind of similar to last season. And then goaltending still with Philip Gustafsson, excuse me, except that he is now only an 84 overall. So again, a lot of the stress going to be put on the top 4, Celebrini, Matthews, Marner, and Nylander. Let's see if they can produce. And for the second consecutive year in his career, Macklin Celebrini is going to make the postseason with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who finish 11th in the league, going 46, 30, and 6. Individually, Macklin Celebrini puts up another great season, this time turning into a little bit more of a playmaker, playing alongside of Austin Matthews. He said, you know what? I don't have to be the one that scores the goals as long as we're putting that puck in the net and we make the postseason. I don't care how it gets done. He gets 101 points. He's also a plus 32, the biggest plus on his team. 38 goals, so he's still putting the puck in the net, but 63 assists, which I believe is a career high in assists. Yes, it is. Career high in assists there, which you love to see. And his third best offensive season in total. But I would argue this is his best season overall. Plus 32, which he has never done. Still a 100-point club. So I would definitely say this is a great season from Macklin Celebrini. Now let's see if they can carry this momentum on into the playoffs. But once again, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to fall in the postseason, this time in 6 games to the New York Islanders. Congratulations to the Arizona Coyotes, who would be the Utah, whatever their team is going to be, Utah, who win the Cup in 7 against the New Jersey Devils. And in those 6 games, Celebrini didn't have a great postseason by any means, but it wasn't horrible either. 4 points in 6 games. I mean, you would definitely like to see more out of your top left winger, I believe he is, or maybe he's the right side. You'd like to see a bit more. He's also a -3, so that line kind of got torched a little bit offensively, or 5-on-5, and he was only shooting 4.5%. So you definitely would like to see a little bit more out of your top line, more than 4 points in 6 games. But also, it was a small sample size. You can't complain too much. But now, at the age of 27, he's grown to a 93 overall. He's got 5-star skating, defense, senses, and shooting. We will see what his season looks like in year number 10, and we will see if this Toronto team can get past the first round. And here we are, boys, at the start of year number 10. Macklin Celebrini is now at the ripe old age of 27. He's still a 93 overall. Take a look at his stats here, still with the 5-star shooting, senses, skating, and defense. He's got Matthews in the center and Mitch Marner on the right. Marner now down to an 86 overall. William Nylander no longer here in Toronto as well. So it's really going to fall onto Macklin Celebrini and Austin Matthews to carry this team to a possible championship, because even the depth is looking a little bit worse than before. We only have 84 overall. Joe Veleno now on defense, again, still not looking too great. Chychrun is now down to an 84 overall instead of his 88 that he was before. And in goal, we have Parker Bowl, who is a medium elite, so he's got that going for him, but only 82 overall for both their goaltenders. So they're really going to need Macklin Celebrini and Austin Matthews to produce another 100-point season if this team wants to get into the Stanley Cup playoffs. And for the third consecutive year, Macklin Celebrini and the Toronto Maple Leafs are off to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Toronto finishes 14th in the NHL with 91 points, going 42, 33, and 7. And looking at the individual stats, Macklin Celebrini did it once again. He gets 114 points in all 82 games played. He's also a plus 34, the highest on his team once again. Still hasn't won any awards, but another 100-point season, the second in a row. And you love to see it if you are a Celebrini and Toronto Maple Leafs fan. 45 penalty minutes, not as disciplined as you would like out there, but 114 points, also 53 goals, which is his second most in his entire career, 61 points, which also ties his second most, 114 points, his second most amount of points he's ever had. So we know that Celebrini can do it in the regular season, but the question remains, can he do it in the playoffs? And for the third straight season, the Leafs make the playoffs, but for the third straight season, the Leafs are out in the first round, this time being swept by the eventual Stanley Cup winning champions, the Ottawa Senators, which, as a Sens fan, brings tears to my eyes in a good way. But of course, for this simulation, that's a really tough outcome for Macklin Celebrini in his 10th season. But, I mean, you can't really complain about what Celebrini was doing out there. They got production from Celebrini and Matthews, and that's pretty much it. Marner got injured for the after the first two games. He's now down to an 85 overall as well. But Macklin Celebrini was point per game. At 28 years old, he's in his prime, but he just can't seem to get over that first round. We will have to find out how this team looks in year number 11 and whether they can make it past the first round. And here we are, boys, the start of year number 11 for Macklin Celebrini. He is still a 93 overall. Take a look at his individual stats if you would like. Still at 5 stars in those 4 categories. Still with Marner and Matthews here, though Marner has dropped to an 83 overall, so we're not sure how much production we're going to get out of him. The second line now, Roloff, has now grown to a 87 overall with the X factor of Yoink, so hopefully that can help with the depth a little bit, but other than that, it's looking pretty barren there on the third and fourth lines. So hopefully we did something with the defense, and no, we've just gotten worse here defensively. Chikrin now down to an 80 overall, and all these other guys, these are like third pairing guys, every single one of them almost. In goal, Parker Bowl has not grown from his 82 overall despite being a medium elite goalie. So this might be a tough season here. I mean, I still think they can be a playoff team just because they have Matthews and Celebrini, but let's hope and pray that that can happen. And here we are, boys, for the 4th consecutive year. Now the Leafs have made the playoffs with Celebrini on the roster. They go 46, 30, and 6. But remember when Celebrini decided to come to the Leafs, or should I say the Leafs gave him the offer sheet and San Jose did not match? I don't really know if he doesn't really have a choice. San Jose decides not to match. And if we look up here at who the President's Trophy winners are, that's the San Jose Sharks, boys. So all you Sharks fans that came here for the Celebrini sim, rejoice because you guys went 48, 21, and 13 for 109 points. That's the President's Trophy in your back pocket. Whereas Toronto here, 46, 30, and 6, but still a decent season. And the most important thing, both these teams are in the playoffs. And another year, another 100-plus point season for these two guys here. Marner still scored 93 points despite being 83 overall. Celebrini has 110 points himself, 50 goals, 60 assists, 110 points. Only plus 12 this year instead of his normal plus 30, but still 110 points for his 3rd consecutive year. It's his third most in goals, his 3rd most in assists, and his 3rd most in points in his season highs. He's now 28, going to be turning 29 here in the summer alongside of Austin Matthews, but we know he can do it in the regular season. Let's see what this team can do, and can they make it past the first round? All right, Toronto fans, you guys are in the Stanley Cup final. They simulated a little bit too far, but we are 1-0 against the Dallas Stars. We will simulate one game at a time here. That's 2-0 against the Stars now. Okay, the Stars come back in game number 3 to make it a 2-1 series, but the Leafs go up 3-1 in the Stanley Cup finals. As a Sens fan, never thought I would be cheering for them, But here we are, 3-2 now. The Leafs have a chance to close it out. Can they do it? And yes, they do. The Toronto Maple Leafs close out this series in 6 games. Oh my goodness. And Macklin Celebrini, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, they all get it done for the city of Toronto. And let's look at their road to the Stanley Cup. Now, they beat, of course, they beat Boston in 7. You have to slay your demons to win the Stanley Cup. They beat Boston in 7. Then they beat Montreal in 7. Montreal took them out in the first round a couple of years back. Then they beat the New York Rangers in 4. And then finally, the Dallas Stars in 6. I was really hoping we were going to get a Toronto Maple Leafs San Jose Sharks final, but that was not to be. But still, a win is a win. A championship is a championship. And Toronto is going to be glad that they finally got one, boys. And look at this. Through his entire career, people have been wondering, can he do it in the postseason? We know he can score 100 in the regular season, but can he do it in the postseason? And he shuts up all the haters, getting 32 points in 24 games, 15 goals, 17 assists. Those are in fantastic numbers. And he basically did it all. Yeah, he basically did it all even strength as well. He scored 30 points even strength. So a huge postseason from Macklin Celebrini. Mitch Marner was second in points. Austin Matthews, third in points. And that is an incredible performance from Macklin Celebrini. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually grew an overall from this performance. And with that playoff performance here as well, Macklin Celebrini is going to win the Conn Smythe Trophy as well, his first ever trophy, and it's a big one. Well, yeah, his first trophy because he would obviously raise this before Lord Stanley, but a huge performance in the playoffs means that Celebrini wins the Conn Smythe, and now going into the 12th season of his career, let's see if he can repeat. And quick shout out here to Leafs legend, obviously getting a Stanley Cup with them in the last season. Austin Matthews with 935 goals, 820 assists for 1,755 points. He's breaking records. I'm not sure if Ovi has the all-time records or anything like that, but 935 goals, that's nothing to be disappointed about whatsoever. He goes out with a pretty interesting class as well, so congratulations to Austin Matthews on the cup and the incredible accolades with Toronto. And here we are in year number 12 of Macklin Celebrini's career so far. He's still a 93 overall. I'll give you guys a look at his stats there. They all look pretty similar. Maybe his shot power dropped just a little bit, but still an incredible skater, defender, has good senses, and a great shooter, as we all know. He's on a line with Cameron Roloff now. I believe this guy was low elite potential. He had the Yoink superstar ability, but now he's got a couple more, and he's on a line with Fagemo. Is that how you say his name? Samuel Fagemo? Where's this guy from? Sweden? Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. The second line looks pretty rough, as does the third line and the fourth line. Mitch Marner is here stranded on that second line. I wouldn't be surprised if he calls it a career after this one. And Celebrini still with 3 more years left on his deal. He was able to get a Stanley Cup with Toronto. The defense looks rough. The goaltending looks rough as well. I mean, shout out Jet Greaves, Winnipeg Jets legend. If you know, you know. But Macklin Celebrini here, he's going to have to carry a corpse. That is the Toronto Maple Leafs. But after they won the Stanley Cup last year, I don't think anybody can question his greatness. And in Celebrini's 12th season in the NHL, it's back to the basement with him. After 4 consecutive playoff appearances, he now misses out, going 34, 43, and 5 are the Toronto Maple Leafs. And just in case you guys were wondering, let's take a look at who some of the top teams in the league were, because there's a story up here. There's definitely a story. Those San Jose Sharks, when they decided not to re-sign Macklin Celebrini, it's going well for them in the future in total. I mean, 52, 25, and 5. Celebrini does have his cup, though, so you can't take that away from him. But the Sharks, they've made a couple playoff appearances here in a row, and they've been the best team last year. And this year, they are the second best team in the NHL. So Celebrini, a tough season, not making the playoffs. But let's take a look what he did individually. So, despite the rough line mates here, Macklin Celebrini still did his thing. Unfortunately, not a 100-point season, but 99 is close enough. We can round up one, right? And on top of that, he's a plus 22 on a team. He has the highest plus minus on a team where guys are plus 30, plus 29, plus 50. No, sorry, excuse me, minus 37, minus 30, minus 27. Like, these guys did not have a good season defensively whatsoever. They were one of the worst teams in the league, but despite that, Celebrini gets 99 points in 82 games. He also scores 53 goals, which I believe ties his second of all time. Yes, it does. And 46 assists as well. So Celebrini had a good year. The Maple Leafs did not. Let's see if the team can turn around here for year 13. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, guys, but look at this. Year 13, or excuse me, U12 playoffs, I believe, go to the San Jose Sharks. So the year after Celebrini wins his cup, the San Jose Sharks win there. So just an interesting little storyline thing there. And the 2036 retirement class is a massive one as well here, with Mitch Marner going out in retirement after playing 1,500 games in the Toronto Maple Leafs blue and white. He scored 500 goals, 1,248 assists for 1,748 points. An incredible career, for Mitch Marner. And here we are after the Marner, Matthews, Nylander era. We now have Macklin Celebrini with Roloff and Genoway here. Genoway, a third-round pick. Wow, that has made it to the NHL as a great 87 overall. On the second line, it looks okay. 86 overall, Xander Schofield here, who was a draft pick by the Florida Panthers. That they must have signed as an RFA. But Celebrini, he's still in Toronto for another 2 years. He's now 30 years old. We've watched this kid grow from 17 years old to 30 now. Looking at the defense, they've got Henry Muse, but I mean, there's not really anything great on defense there. And then in goal, there's nothing too great there either. But it is Macklin Celebrini's 13th year, and let's see if this lineup is good enough to make the playoffs. And again here, the Leafs missed out on the playoffs. They go 38, 39, and 5. So an improvement over last season, but still a bit disappointing for Celebrini and the Leafs. But I'll tell you what, Macklin Celebrini did not disappoint. He's back up into the 100-point club. He gets 47 goals, 56 assists for 103 points. He was a -4, but that is a-okay with me. 100 points once again, going into the last year now of his contract with the Leafs. Let's see how they perform and what they look like for year 14. And here we are now. It is Macklin Celebrini's 14th season in the NHL. We are here with the Toronto Maple Leafs once again, and this team does not look fantastic, if I have to say so myself. It is Celebrini with Genoway and Vlasic. Vlasic, a new guy to Celebrini's line. But we know that Celebrini can produce without the offensive support around him. I mean, this team looks pretty bare, and the defense looks rough. The goaltending looks rough. I mean, Celebrini is going to have to make miracles happen if he's going to want to make the playoffs in this one. But, I mean, he's had 100-point seasons before. Let's see if he can do it once again with this tough team, and we'll see if the Maple Leafs can make the playoffs. And a team that I thought looked extremely worse than the last year's version of it. They end up being the 4th best team in the National Hockey League. They go 48, 26, and 8. So they shut me up real quick, and it's an incredible season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it's a great season for the Leafs, and it's once again a great season for Macklin Celebrini as well. He scores 108 points in all 82 games. So, you know, when before we were worried about his injury status, we were worried about how his health would be. Maybe he would have to retire early because of him missing so many games and being injured so many times. But no, Celebrini has now strung together a significant amount of healthy seasons, and he scores 108 points in this one. And by the way, his left winger, the 83 overall Hugo Vlasic, who's a playmaker. I mean, you just throw a 95 passing guy on his left side, and he's going to get 73 assists for 102 points. That's crazy stuff. But that's how you build a good line in this game. You get a shooter, you get a passer, and you get somebody in there, a sniper or a power forward or somebody else alongside them who can get some points as well. And that's a great line. It's not all about the overall, boys. This guy's going to grow significantly. He's on a 1-year deal, and as as is Macklin Celebrini here, who's on a one-year deal for $13.705 million. We'll see if he decides to re-sign, but first, let's see how this team does in the playoffs. And hey, it's not a Stanley Cup for these guys, but it is definitely a respectable playoff run nonetheless. They go 6 games against the Montreal Canadiens, 6 games against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then they fall in 6 to the New York Rangers. But you can't complain about that postseason if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. They make it to the Final Four, and they have a great season to boot. In the playoffs here, we saw Macklin Celebrini continue his great playoff performances. He scores 24 points in 18 games with 13 goals, 11 assists. He's also a +3. So Macklin Celebrini was out there doing his thing for sure. This is what his stats look like. And going into his 15th season in the NHL, we will find out if they can make the playoffs once again and if Celebrini can string together another 100-point season. And to start off Celebrini's 15th season in the NHL, he decides to sign a contract in free agency with the Carolina Hurricanes. That contract is for 3 years at $17.295 million. This guy is making like $53 million here in 3 years. That's absolutely insane. His stats all look fantastic still, and he's at the age of 32. He's getting to that age where he's going to start to drop just a little bit, but he's playing alongside of Sachin, a second-round pick in 2023, wow, who has grown incredibly, and his good old buddy, William Eklund. These two will tear it up together, I'm sure. The second line looks pretty good as well, but then the third and fourth lines struggle a little bit. Looking at the defense, yikes, the defense is rough here in Carolina. They have an 85 overall on their third D pairing for some reason because of the X factors. I would assume it's the only thing that makes logical sense to me, but in net they do have 89 overall Gabriel Dagla, the draft pick for Carolina as well. So a good team here in Carolina, and I think they can make the playoffs. But let's find out how they perform in Celebrini's 15th season. And Carolina in Celebrini's 15th season, they finished 20th in the NHL, missing out on the playoffs. They go 39, 37, and 6, which is tough for the 32-year-old Macklin Celebrini. But Celebrini, in all 82 games, he continues where he left off with Toronto, scoring 101 points in all 82 games, 41 goals, 60 assists. He's also a +13. So Celebrini definitely did his job here in Carolina. He's got 2 more years left on his deal after this one, so we will definitely see what he decides to do. Whether he calls it a career after those 2 years or not, I'm not sure, but I still think he's got a ton of hockey in him. And here we are, boys, at the start of year number 16, and we are here with the 2027 San Jose Sharks. Just kidding, but it might as well be because they've got Celebrini, and they've re-partnered him up with Reed DeSalvador, and also William Eklund is here as well. So the San Jose Sharks of old coming together here in Carolina and Raleigh, Carolina, to hopefully bring a cup to this team. But they've got a good team here, I think. Celebrini with Sachin on his right, Salvador on his left, the second line with Eklund down there, and Niemi. Is this a sniper? Yes, it is. Wow, so this second line should be great as well because Eklund, a pure playmaker alongside of a sniper. We know what he can do with Celebrini on his line. Now the third line's okay. The fourth line is all right as well. On defense, we still don't really have anything great here on defense. And in goal, we do still have Gabriel Dagla. So I think this could be a playoff team. Celebrini's 16th season in the NHL. Let's see how it goes. And the year 16 Carolina Hurricanes here, they finish 44, 34, and 4, which is good enough to get them in the playoffs at number 12th overall in the NHL. Let's see what these boys did in the regular season. And for the first time in 3 years, Celebrini does not have a 100-point season, but he still has his 52 goals. He has 38 assists. He's got 90 points still, so he's still scoring that puck. He still knows how to put that in the back of the net. 90 points in 82 games as well. Nothing to scoff at. It's a great total, and he's still a 93 overall. So he can still definitely get it done, but maybe just regressing a little bit, maybe just showing a little bit of how time is changing him. But still, they're in the playoffs. Let's see how they perform. And in the year 16 playoffs here, the Carolina Hurricanes get beat out in 5 games to the Washington Capitals. Oh no, and Macklin Celebrini, he only played 3 games and he had 0 points and he was a -2. He has now dropped to a 92 overall as well. So definitely showing his age there in that playoff series. His skating has dropped to 4 stars instead of 5 stars, but everything else still looks okay. Let's hope he doesn't regress too much going into year 17. Let's hope this team can make the playoffs once again. And here we are, boys, the start of year number 17 with Macklin Celebrini. We are in 2040 now. Celebrini is a 92 overall. Take a look at his stats, still looking pretty good everywhere. 4-star skating, but everything else still in that 5-star. The shooting, census, and defense, that is. His line mates are still the same as they were last year, though they are all growing up a little bit here. A bit of an older team here in Carolina. William Eklund still, Reed Salvador, and Macklin Celebrini, the former San Jose Shark players, all here still in Carolina, and then their depth even looking better than it did last year as well. On defense, we still don't really have anybody, and then in goal, we still got Gabriel Dagla back there. So let's hope Celebrini and the boys can once again make the playoffs in year 17. And unfortunately, in Celebrini's 17th season, and I forgot to mention, it was his last season under contract with the Carolina Hurricanes, I believe. They go 38, 36, and 8, which is good enough for 21st place, but not good enough to make the playoffs. And yes, boys, if you will remember here, Celebrini 3 years ago signed a $17.295 million deal. This is his last year on his deal, so he's going to have a decision to make here. He's now dropped to a 91 overall. He is slowly dropping. Will he call it a career? I've seen guys go out at high overalls like 87, 88, 86 before, who can still get it done in the regular season, but just the body gives out. We will see if Celebrini decides to call it a career, but 86 points in 72 games is still a great season. But with that injury there, will he want to rest his body for his future, be able to pick up his kids when he's older? We will find out. Or will Celebrini, he still feels good? Does he still feel good enough to play in the NHL? We will find out here in the off season, and I'll see you guys in year number 18, or maybe that retirement screen. And at the start of his 18th season in the NHL, Macklin Celebrini decides to sign a 1-year deal with Buffalo at $14.75 million to be the top line center of this first line here in Buffalo. And this is a team that looks poised to make a playoff run. They've got Schofield, Celebrini, and Mackinnon on their first line, all guys with X factors, all guys who are 88 plus. Their second line, they have 2 88+ players, Zaitsev and Smith. Their third line, they have an 86 overall, and their fourth line is not too bad either. Celebrini, now at the age of 35, has dropped to a 91 overall. The defense out here in Buffalo is looking a little bit shaky, but the goalie, okay, 86 overall, Jared Lannon, and then Parker Bowl, who we saw in Toronto for a little bit. But Celebrini, on this first line, I think he can do some great things with Schofield, who's a playmaker with 98 passing. That's going to be great for him. And Mackinnon, who's another sniper. These three guys, I think can have a great season. And Buffalo, I think they can make the playoffs in Celebrini's 18th season. And this is the exact type of team that Celebrini wanted here in his 18th season. He joins the Buffalo Sabres, and they are the 3rd best team in the National Hockey League, going 51, 27, and 4. That's an incredible season for Buffalo. Let's see how Celebrini did on his new team. And Macklin Celebrini is back to greatness here, scoring 47 goals, 66 assists for 113 points. He's also a plus 21. Schofield here, that playmaker, really linked up with Celebrini, getting 94 assists did Schofield, and Celebrini scoring 47 goals is great as well. Now, these guys did it in the regular season, but at 35 years of age, Macklin Celebrini is going to want to do it in the postseason as well. So let's see how they perform in the playoffs. And unfortunately for Buffalo fans, The Sabres fall in the first round to the Tampa Bay Lightning in 4 games. They get swept out by the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that is a tough, tough fate for Macklin Celebrini, who, remember, is on an expiring deal. So I guess we will have to see what he decides to do in the offseason. And Celebrini in those 4 games, showing his age a little bit once again. He only scores 1 assist. That's a real tough playoff performance from Macklin Celebrini, who has now dropped to an 89 overall. Take a look at the stats. He's still got 5-star senses and shooting, but that physical category really getting down there, and the defense is dropping a little bit, as is the skating as well. So going into his 19th season in the NHL, will he decide to come back once more? Remember, he's on an expiring deal, so will he decide to come back with Buffalo, maybe go to another team, or will he decide to call it a career? He's had a great one. He's won a Conn Smythe, he's won a Stanley Cup, so let's see what he decides to do in the offseason. And here we are in Celebrini's 19th season in the NHL. He decides to come back for another year in the NHL. He's 36 years old, 90 overall, playing alongside of 90 overall Yoshimura, who's a two-way forward, and Hedstrom here, Nicholas Hedstrom. Vancouver loves their Swedes, who is a sniper, so I'm not sure how many points he's going to be able to put up in this season. Also, he signed a 1-year deal at $9.380 million, so he's definitely still getting paid big bucks out here. This Vancouver team looks okay. The bottom 6 looks rough, but the top 6 looks good. On defense, we don't really have anything, and in goal, we don't have anything either. Yikes. So this might be a rough season here, but Celebrini, he thinks that he can make it work here in Vancouver, and I desperately want him to in his 19th season. Let's see what he can do. And unfortunately, the Macklin Celebrini experiment did not go as Vancouver planned. They finished the season 39-41-2, which is not good enough to make the postseason. They are 23rd in the NHL. But Celebrini, unfortunately, he did get injured throughout the season. He played 68 games only, which is tough. Again, at this older age, do you really want to keep risking injury? But he absolutely loves the game, and he wants to get some more accolades in it if he can. He scores 38 goals and 40 assists for 78 points in 68 games. That is a great season for somebody who played only 68 games. 78 points, you can't complain about that, but dropped to an 87 overall now, did Macklin Celebrini. He still got that great shot. He still got great senses, but that physical 1.5 stars, skating 4 stars now, 88 acceleration, 90 speed, and even defense coming down a little bit. Doesn't shot block as much, and he can't stick check as well as he used to, with his speed coming down here a little bit. So going into Celebrini's 20th season in the NHL, will he decide to re-sign with Vancouver? Will he go somewhere else? Or will he decide to retire? We will find out soon. And in Macklin Celebrini's start of his 20th season in the NHL, he has returned to Toronto. He spent 5 years away from Toronto, being on teams like Carolina, Buffalo, and Vancouver. After his 7-year stint here in Toronto, he decides to return once again. He's an 86 overall this time. He's not the same player he was before, but he can still shoot that puck. He still has great senses. It's just that physical category that's really dragging him down. And he's on a line with Jérôme Roy. I don't know how to say it. Is he French Canadian? Yeah, he's definitely French Canadian. This guy is a medium or exact franchise player, a playmaker with 92 passing, 5-star shooting. He's got 5-star everything. This guy is a fantastic player in the National Hockey League. He's also got board leader, and he's making $18.460 million. So Macklin Celebrini's definitely on a great line here. Celebrini signed for 1 year at $8 million, which you'll love to see if you're a Celebrini fan. Unfortunately, the bottom 6 again not looking too great here, with 76 overall Ovechkin, 76 overall Lundin as well. On defense, okay, they have one good defender, at least Landon Cavanaugh, but after that, nothing great whatsoever. And then for the goalie situation, a decent goaltender here. So we will see if Celebrini and Waugh can get this Toronto Maple Leafs team into the playoffs. And in his 20th season in the NHL, Celebrini is once again in the playoffs. The Toronto Maple Leafs finished 14th in the league, going 42-33-7. And Macklin Celebrini was back to his incredible self, scoring 88 points in 80 games, scoring 42 goals, 46 assists for 88 points. Jérôme Roy really needs a really good sniper alongside of him to get into that 100-point range, but Macklin Celebrini has dropped to an 84 overall. He's still got 5-star shooting, 5-star senses, but again, those other categories dropping off significantly here. So now it's his last chance, probably. We will see what he can do in the playoffs here. Now down to an 84 overall. I wonder if he will retire, but before retirement is the playoffs. Let's see how they perform. And unfortunately, in what could be his last postseason performance, Macklin Celebrini and the Toronto Maple Leafs go out in the first round in 6 games. Of course, who else but the Boston Bruins, eliminating the Toronto Maple Leafs. And unfortunately, Macklin Celebrini only played 4 games, but he did score 4 points, scoring 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. It's nothing to sneeze at 38 overall, or 38 years old, that's for sure. But at only 82 overall here, I wonder if he will decide to re-sign with Toronto or go somewhere else, or will he hit that retirement screen? Let's find out. And everything in life always comes full circle, boys. In Macklin Celebrini's 21st season in the NHL, he might be going out this year, but if he is, he's going out with the team that drafted him first, well, it's not actually first, but second overall in the 2024 NHL draft, his 21st season in the NHL. Let's make it a memorable one. Let's make it a fantastic one. And this team actually has a chance to make the playoffs as well. Braden Hunter is still here. All our old friends still here. We do not have that offensive defenseman that we had before, but still Braden Hunter is here. Goalie's not looking too hot, but Celebrini is back in that teal color of the San Jose Sharks, and let's see how he performs in year 21. And in Celebrini's 21st season in the NHL, what could be his last, the San Jose Sharks go 52, 27, and 3 for 3rd place in the entire league. Oh man, look at this. I fear for Macklin Celebrini's future. In his 21st season in the NHL, he only plays 48 games. He's down to an 81 overall, but he still has 5-star shooting, ladies and gentlemen. And he signed a 2-year contract with the Sharks. I didn't even realize that. So he scores 35 points in 48 games this year. And let's see if he can stay healthy for the playoffs. You know, it always sucks to lose in the playoffs, but losing in your 21st season in the Western Conference Finals in Game 7 might be one of the toughest ways to go out. And unfortunately, the San Jose Sharks do fall to the St. Louis Blues in the Western Conference Finals. But take a look at this. Macklin Celebrini turned back the clock here in the postseason, scoring 15 points and 9 goals in 16 games. He was also a 0 and even player, so that's a great postseason from Macklin Celebrini, who was dropped to a 75 overall now, but he still has that 5-star shooting. This guy still got an incredible shot, despite the fact that his other categories have dropped. But boys, that might have been the last ride for Macklin Celebrini. And here we are in the 2045 NHL retirement class. We've got Macklin Celebrini leading the charge. He played 1,565 games, scoring 839 goals and 937 assists, which is good for 1,776 points. Macklin Celebrini was an incredible sniper throughout his career, scoring as high as 55 goals and as many assists even as 66. He had 9 100-point plus seasons to his belt and played for as many as 5 different teams throughout his entire career. He was a plus 153, usually allowing his offense to definitely dominate the 5-on-5 game, and he wasn't afraid to get his body in there either, having 849 penalty minutes. He also shot the puck like an absolute madman, shooting 5,749 shots and had a 14.6% shooting percentage, which is quite good. He showed up when it mattered most, scoring 130 career game winning goals, getting 225 power play goals and 427 power play points as well. He also played some shorthanded time here, having 28 shorthanded points, 17 of which were shorthanded goals, and he averaged just about 21 minutes of time on ice per night, which is congruent to a first-line center's abilities. He was great in the faceoffs dot when he was there, especially in his older years here, going 53.6% in the faceoff dot, and he wasn't afraid to throw that body either, having 2,738 hits, block shots a little bit less at 475, and he often took that puck away much more than he gave it away. All in all, an incredible 21-year career here in the NHL. I think 9 of which are with the San Jose Sharks. He had 8 seasons with Toronto, 3 with Carolina, 1 with Buffalo, and 1 with Vancouver. He went all around the world, but at the end of the day, it all came back to coming back to San Jose. Throughout his career, he was able to amass 1 Stanley Cup and 1 Conn Smythe Trophy in that run to the Stanley Cup Finals. That was the year with Toronto, I believe. It was 2034-2035 season when he had 32 points in 24 games. That allowed him to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, and it was a legendary run for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, boys, you know what we do here now if you've watched the other career simulations, and that is I'm going to place him in his rankings in the current all-time NHL players list. So, of course, it would take me forever, probably like a year, to keep all of these stats for all the players who retired throughout the video. So for example, Connor McDavid will probably have like 2,500 points. Sidney Crosby will probably have 2,000 points, you know, all these guys. So it's impossible for me to get the exact rankings in 2045. So we just assign his 2045 numbers and look at how he ranks all time in the current day. So his 1,565 games played places him 14th all time, 1 game ahead of Nicholas Lidstrom and a couple games back of Ray Bourque. His 839 goals places him 3rd all-time, 1 spot ahead of Gordie Howe and 1 spot behind Alexander Ovechkin. His 937 assists puts him 1 spot ahead of Al MacInnis, but 1 spot behind of Mark Recchi at number 17 all-time. His 1,776 points puts him at 6th place all-time, ahead of Marcel Dion, but behind Ron Francis. His plus-minus of 153 ties him all-time at 131 with Jeremy Roenick. His 849 penalty minutes places him at 515th place, ahead of Mark Borowitzki and behind Brendan Crombeen. His 5,749 shots is good enough to put him 3rd all-time, 1 ahead of Jaromir Jagr and 1 spot below Ray Bourque. His 2,738 hits is good enough to place him at number 10 all-time, ahead of David Backes, but below Radko Gudas. His 475 shots ties him at 384th place all-time, alongside of Evgeny Malkin and Corey Perry. So that was the incredible career of Macklin Celebrini. He played for 5 teams in 22 NHL seasons. And he was an incredible shooter who was not afraid to throw that body either. He finished with 1 Stanley Cup, 1 Conn Smythe, but he had the hearts of many NHL fans. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to give it a like and comment and let me know who you would want me to see simulate their entire career of next. On top of that, boys, we have GM modes coming out every Tuesdays and Saturdays, so feel free to come back and check those out at your own pace. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your summer, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Just a quick note here as well. Victor Semyonov, who was drafted 1 year after Celebrini, also goes out in retirement here. Is there anybody else that we know and love? Berkeley Catton is here. Michael Misa, this guy, Bowman, and anybody. I think he played with Sam Niemi, I'm pretty sure. Another sniper who's drafted first overall. But other than that, I'm not seeing any names that are too. Oh my gosh, Reed Salvador as well. So the entire San Jose Sharks franchise here is out. The mid 2020 San Jose Sharks franchise is out of here in 2045. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm going to keep going down here and seeing if there's anybody else who we know and love on this roster. I don't really see anybody. All these other guys, I probably wouldn't recognize their names anyways. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, comment, and subscribe. You guys know what to do, though. You've been on YouTube for long enough, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Peace out.